Hello and welcome. We are on Fierce Friday, this July 2nd of the month. Very excited to be here. My name is Carmela Velarde. I'm a Blue Diamond with Purium, and we are in the precipice of the dawning of new information, guys. This is the day we get to talk about part 2 of our Toxin That Came to Dinner, which is a very important book that David Sandoval, our founder and formulator of the company named Purium, he had written this, and it's always on my desk. We are doing a part 2 today. We have a lot of great information that we're going to be diving deep into, and I'm really happy to say that Fierce Friday is moving in the direction of more education, empowerment, and really teaching us all how to lead with this movement, how to become an activist for all these belief systems that we're growing with our organic superfood lifestyle. So I have been with the company for 7 years. I'm very passionate about the movement itself. And I'm on the council along with Stephanie Don, who I'll be introducing next. She is our chair. Nayeva Flore, who is our social media expert and maven. Tas Ferreira is with us today as a speaker. And we do also have Jody Parker, who is not with us today, but please do follow all of us. And if you could please council, drop your letter C or the word council so that people can follow you and find you on social media. So we are the ones creating the content for you every Friday. And I wanted to pass the mic over to Stephanie Dawn, who is our chair. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the history of Million Mom, which is the brainchild of Amy Venner. So I'd love to have her share today.
Beautiful. Aloha, everyone. Greetings from the Big Island. I'm here with my 2 teenage boys who are still slumbering. It's early here. And yeah, it's Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. It's when we get to come together in community to really stand up and be the voice for ourselves, for those who don't know what we know. So I'm really excited about today's topic. It's something that I care deeply about. And thank you, Tas, for volunteering to be your magnificent self today. We're talking about the toxin that came to dinner, because not only are we dealing with glyphosate, you guys, but we're dealing with all kinds of toxins that we have to mitigate in our food every single day, which for me personally is absolutely unacceptable. And it was for Amy Venner, many years ago when she first started the Million Mom movement. She's the founder of Purium Health Products, of which I'm a very proud brand partner and Blue Diamond. And when we started, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, we were health forward. We were all about health, understandably. It's a given, right? Like our food systems are corrupted. And Amy was very passionate about it. And of course, myself, Nayeva, the moms who have been around, Carmela, Taz, the moms who've been around for a long time, like we got on board immediately with the Million Mom movement because we were like, hell no, not on our watch. I mean, really, that's how I feel. I'm a longtime environmental activist, social justice activist, and this is just not okay. And so, and we moms, and dads who are single dads, but we moms we're the economic power of the family. We vote with our dollars every single day at the grocery store, and we want to be doing the right thing at the grocery store. And so I'm deeply grateful for the Million Mom movement. It's helped me merge my activism with my prosperity. And then when I came on board as the chair 3 years ago, we pivoted to business. I'm a longtime business coach, and we started really looking at who we are as a movement, as a community. We're 1,000 women and men and moms and dads, grandparents, concerned citizens in over 100 communities, reaching out to 10 families to help them turn their pantries clean, green, organic, non-GMO. That's our mission. Okay, so with that mission being stated, that in and of itself inherently is business forward. Why? Because we are all about sharing. That's what we do here. We share because we care. We share because we care. So along those lines, I'd like to highlight our petition, which thank you so much, Nayeva, for creating that with our former fellow council member Rebecca Johns, who has left us, and we just bless her where she's at, healing her body and her family. And we have this petition, which it first started off as a very quaint letter writing campaign, and then we realized we needed to, put on our big girl panties and start a petition and really speak truth to power about, particularly to General Mills, who is the maker of Cheerios. And so you'll find our petition in the chat momentarily if one of my colleagues can drop that there. Or you can go to www.millionmommovement.info and you'll learn more about all that we're doing on our website. So thanks so much for leading today, Carmela, and thank you all for being here. We're really grateful that you're here.
And we are here because of your leadership, seeing the vision of what we can be as a movement. And I'm really honored to sit on this council to support where we're going for the future. And along with this petition, we have a scholarship. And this is what we offer on our website. I'll share it with you. Well, here's the petition as well, guys. This is where you could find it, and this is where you sign it. But now the scholarships, you go onto our website and there is an application. And who are these applications for? There are people within the United States, North America, so Canada as well, and they must illustrate that they have a desire to work with the Purium business. So they want to build a message around our movement and lead with the Million Mom movement. So we share with you every Friday to teach you how you can do that. And they must show economic need, and they are wanting to be mentored. So we as the council and the Million Mom movement are their uplines, as well as the people who are a sponsor. You must have a sponsor as well. And what you're getting as a value is $199 business value, which is a business pack, along with $1,250 in retail value of organic superfoods. So this will get you on the way to really creating a message, creating a story for your health and a story for your business empowerment, which is what we want to see, how this impact can be created to be the million strong that we know we can be. And so this also leads me to sharing with you all how we are connected. So it's not without connection that we can make this impact. And Naeva Flore shared beautifully last week with how we can share reels and stories. We have messaging that's available to everyone who wants it to really put it out there with your own authenticity. So I'd love for her to pick up the mic. She's also in Hawaii, and she is also Blue Diamond with the company. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Carmela. Hey, everybody. Yes, I'm on the beautiful island of Kauai, and Blue Diamond with Purium. The Million Mom movement has inspired me since the beginning, almost 7 years ago. And about 2 years ago, I became part of the council and quickly just picked up on the social media side. So I'm not an expert, but I share what I learn. And we had a great training last week. If you missed it, you can catch it on the replay on our YouTube channel. And I will tell you where to find that in just a minute. So we have a few different social media accounts. I actually just found out this week about another one that I wasn't even aware of that we had. So we have a Facebook page, and we'd love for you to follow us there. And we just made over 7,000 followers on our Facebook page. So I'm really excited for our movement to be growing there. We also have a Million Mom Movement official group on Facebook. So that is linked on the page. You can just go ahead and join the group, become a part of our community, share what you're loving about our community or our products or our business there in the group. You know, you can be authentic. It's a closed group, so only the people that are within our community will see it. And in that group, if you missed it last week, I made a bunch of really great memes that you can use in your stories, and they are within that group. So that's a really great reason to go join the group, is to have access to all those tools. We also have an Instagram page, which is primarily where I go and repost your stories, where I repost your posts. And so if you're using Instagram, please use our hashtags. And we have a few hashtags that we use. Hashtag Million Mom Movement, or hashtag I am the Million Mom Movement, or we are the Million Mom Movement, depending on the posts that you're making, whether it's about community, whether it's about personal empowerment, or whether it's about just the general community that you're talking about. So we'd love to repost you and share you there on the page. And then we also have a Twitter page. Everything gets funneled over to Twitter. I don't have access to that account or like really monitor it, but everything gets funneled over there. So if you're on Twitter, you can be sharing that with friends that are on Twitter. And I just learned that we also have a Pinterest. We have a Million Mom Movement Pinterest. How exciting is that? I had no idea, even after this long. And so if you're on Pinterest, go check out our Million Mom Movement Pinterest. Lastly, I just want to go back to our Instagram page. If ever you're looking for links and you're not sure where to find them, all the things we've talked about this morning, the petition, the scholarship, the website, if you don't know where to find it, there's a link in our bio on Instagram, and that link has everything you need in it. I'm looking at it right now. It has a link to join the movement. It has a link to our website. It has the link to our Fierce Fridays if you ever can't find the link, or if somebody's looking for the link, say Instagram bio, Million Mom Movement. We have our YouTube channel link, our petition link, the blog link, application for the scholarship link, and so much more. And it's all in the link in our bio on Instagram. So find everything there. Thank you all so much. Back to you, Carmela.
Awesome, Neva. Thanks so much. And this is how you can get in touch with us, guys. And please share the message because our numbers are growing. And so I am excited to get right into the topic today. And it is a part 2. So we created a series for you. If you can bring your cameras on, it would really help the speakers to feel engaged with you. We are a community. We love to get together. And because we're in the pandemic, of course, we like to see you. And it's all about engagement, human connection. This is a topic that is deep rooted into your sovereignty. All of us here need to really understand that we are free, but it's with knowledge and education that we can be even more so amidst the misinformation. So I'm very excited to introduce our co-council member, Tas Ferreira. She's in Montreal, Quebec, mother of 2. Vegan chef, and she actually has a background as a career scientist, and she's also into functional medicine and epigenetics in the focus of prevention. So I'd love to pass the mic over to you, Taz, and really get everybody excited about the toxins, but also what can we do about these toxins. And you have a very special guest. So surprise, we have an extra added educational feature.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carmela. Okay, so I'm Tas Ferreira from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I was so excited to dive into this topic, okay? So Jody Parker spoke about a toxin that came to dinner 2 weeks ago, right? And I'm like, there's so many more toxins that we can talk about. Do you know how many toxins that we invite to our dinner table each and every day? It's massive, okay? And it affects us on a cellular level. So this is going to be a series. Maybe once a month, I think we're going to be diving deep and talking about different toxins. So on today's call, we are going to be talking about phthalates, BPAs, natural ingredients, and preservatives, exactly. So we are going to be diving deep into these. And I also have a very special guest. Okay. I have a very special guest. I was being called in the middle. So we have a very special guest. When I found out that I'm doing this call, I'm like, who can I bring on who is an expert of this? Okay. So I have my very new brand partner, okay, Maria, Dr. Maria. She is a cancer researcher and she is very knowledgeable about all of these toxins. Okay. So I will be inviting her on the call as well, and we will be sharing information. So guys, when I start sharing my screen, I no longer see you. So you would have to unmute and let me know what's happening. I do not see the chats. Okay. So let's get started. Oh. Okay, so a toxin that came to dinner, right? As Carmela was talking about, we love this book. This book is so crucial for us. Like what I love to do with this book, I order so many and I just give it away. There's so many things that people need to understand what they invite to their dinner table and how it affects to ourselves and our family. And more importantly, what you can do about it. So, mom, right? MOM. It's the movement of many. We are a group of concerned moms, dads, and caregivers who provide education, action steps to teach our communities how to live healthier. There are currently more than 80,000 man-made toxins in the environment. Human beings have an amazing capacity to withstand a lot of toxic stress, but human resilience has its limitations, right? When exposed to continuous, there is no space for healing. And we're creating a burden to our bodies that eventually transform into devastating chronic diseases. So what toxic chemical is your body absorbing? Did you know we absorb up to 60% of what we put on our skin? And listen to this, our children absorb 40 to 50% more than we do, which means they are higher risk for all of these diseases, and they are exposed to these toxins even more. So skin allergies, cancer, infertility, birth defects, reproductive problems, and learning disabilities. So let's talk about our first hidden toxin, okay? Phthalates. What are phthalates? Okay, so phthalates are a substance that allow plastic to be more malleable. It's a plastic additive and it's in everything. It's in your toys, bottles, cars. It's unavoidable, okay? But listen to this. The main exposure pathways for phthalates is believed to be in your diet, and not just any diet, an animal-based diet. And it's found in dairy products. In fact, dairy is believed to be one of the greatest exposure of phthalates. So what phthalate does, it migrates into your food products during processing and packaging and preparation. So why is this important, okay? So you remember, those the Kraft dinner with those packaged cheeses? That contains phthalates. But I know none of us here are using Kraft dinner, right? Let me guess, you guys are all using Annie's Organic. Well, Annie's Organic also contains phthalates. Any type of cheese that is in a powder format contains phthalates. So any processed cheese that's sliced, those Crafts or any other cheeses that is a sliced cheese, any natural cheese that are in the solid block, organic or not. So the organic does not matter. Okay, those plastic straws that we use that we say it's to save the turtles? Well, let's get rid of all the plastic straws because plastic straws contain phthalates and we are putting this in our mouths. So imagine how much phthalates we are ingesting. Okay, and I had my cousin growing up who would always take packets of chips and whenever he orders food, and he would use his teeth to open these packaging. Do we know people like that? Well, do not do that. Those containers contains phthalates. And when we are using our teeth to open the packages, we are ingesting this toxic chemical, okay? I would also like to add that people who consume a high amount of fat from meat and dairy have an increasing twice the increase of phthalate exposure, okay? So the phthalate is hidden inside the fat. So for all you keto people, this is another level of awareness. So phthalates are a huge endocrine disrupting chemical. It affects boys and girls. Okay, I see a lot of people in the waiting room. Can you guys let them in, please? It affects asthma. It affects your testosterone levels. It affects your thyroid production. And it affects your sperm count. This affects boys more than girls. okay? It affects your ADHD, autism, neurological effects. Phthalates are linked to so many issues, liver, kidneys in laboratory animals, and cancers. Okay, so let's talk about the second toxin. Okay. Oh, I also wanted to mention, when I bring Maria on, Maria and I started a YouTube channel. Okay. And the YouTube channel is called Education Before Medication. This is solely an education platform to bring awareness of all the toxic chemicals. And you know, with Purium, we always present solutions. So check out this YouTube. Okay, so the next hidden toxin is BPA. BPA is in everything. This is another hormonal active chemical. And why is this important? This affects every cell in your body and causes it to be chaotic and causes disruption. Okay, it causes so many issues: breast cancer, prostate cancer. And you know where it begins? BPA actually begins in the womb. So from the womb until a lifetime of your adulthood. And BPA affects girls greatly. And they've been noticing that it affects the waistline of a lot of girls. So when you have weight that you cannot get rid of, it's usually because of BPA. And it also causes behavioral changes, ADHD, brain development, immune system, low birth weight, and lower sperm count as well. Okay, so BPA is also a huge endocrine disruptor, right? That we spoke about. So BPA is found in many cans. Okay, so you know all of those cans that we buy. During pregnancy, we buy them. During fundraisers, we are taught that they're non-perishables. So we buy so many of them. When we go to Costco, we stock up on all of these canned goods. But these canned goods are full of BPAs that goes into our food. And all of these big box brands, Campbell's, Del Monte, General Mills, have the highest amount of BPAs. So what we need to do is look at more local companies. Eden's a great one. And we look at companies that are not aluminum. Well, they're not canned. So let's look at companies that have, you know, they have these beans that are in boxes instead of the cans. So let's look at those ones. And you can also buy your beans dried and then soak them yourself. That will save you so much money economically and without BPAs. So what are solutions to BPAs? I just mentioned a couple. Glass containers for drinking or heating food. I don't like using any plastic containers, even though it says, oh, it does not have BPAs. There's always a certain amount that's allowed. So I don't use any plastic. Try using glass containers. And look at any of those containers that you have that are thermal. Make sure they're not lined with anything else on the inside. Pick fresh or frozen food when possible. Okay, this is great. I love using frozen food. Like frozen food, I mean like frozen fruits, like frozen blueberries, frozen cherries. Look for organic ones because when they're frozen, they're actually picked at the ripest time. So I would highly recommend looking at frozen organic fruits and veggies, or fresh when you can find it. The aluminum bottles, also take a look that they're not coated with resin, and avoid plastics. Okay, so the plastics at the bottom, there's always a number. So avoid the plastic that says 3 or 7 on them. And cling wrap. Okay, this is something that we need to eliminate completely from our house. I remember whenever we used to make lasagna, I used to cover in a cling wrap and then I used to put the aluminum on top. Not anymore. The cling wrap is a thin plastic that actually all the BPAs go in the food directly. So let's get rid of that. And now we have things like beeswax. Have you guys seen this? It's beeswax that mimics like a cling wrap or any, like, you know, it covers. And this is a great alternative. For children's toys, you can use wood. I mean, there's so many other ways that you can live your life without BPAs. Okay, so food additive, our hidden toxin number 3. I will welcome Maria on, Dr. Maria, to talk about food additives. She's an expert in this. And Maria, please unmute yourself and jump on in.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Can you just
Perfectly.
say, yeah, perfect. Okay, so first of all, just thank you so much for inviting me. This group is such a blessing to the community and you guys are doing such great things. So I'm just grateful that I can come in and tell you what I've learned along the years that can help you guys like really start making changes in your life there from today on. Okay, so we're talking about hidden toxins in our homes. And these are all over our cupboards. And one of them being all the food additives that we have in our foods that we are not really aware of. So according to the Center for Science and the Public Interest, most food additives are unsafe in the amounts that we consume them, or they're very poorly tested and should be avoided completely. And by the way, this is the government telling us to avoid the food additives. But the stuff that you see in the shelves, they're still there, right? Like they're telling us avoid them, but go to the supermarket and still buy all the things that we provide you. So we have to start being the ones in charge and really paying attention and start reading those labels. So when I mean food additives, I mean artificial food dyes, natural flavors, MSG, which is a very intense neurotoxin, aspartame, any artificial sweetener, preservatives, and pesticides. Today, we're not going to go over all of them, but we're going to start with artificial food dyes. So food is monitored by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Almost everyone has heard this term. They theoretically tell you that everything they approve is safe, right? But anyone here, please like raise your hand. Think that food with food dyes is actually safe to eat. I definitely don't think that. It's definitely not. And you can go to the next slide, Taz. This has actually come out like in Forbes magazine in 2012, and they were talking about the potential dangers of artificial dyes. And this was actually when I first heard about them. You can go to the next one. They are made of petroleum and coal tar. So this shocked me to the core when I found out that what I was eating was the same thing that people were using to make tires. Now, the interesting thing that I found in my research was that these are completely banned in Europe. You can jump onto the next one. And why are they banned in Europe? Because when they did studies in kids that were completely normal, had no previous history of behavioral issues, they quickly developed behavioral problems like meltdowns and temper tantrums when they were including these food additives. So it exacerbates behavioral issues. So we have to think about the amount of foods that our kids are eating that have all of these food dyes. For example, in Europe, McDonald's strawberry sundaes, they are made from real strawberries, which you think, obviously, when you see the word strawberry, I'm going to eat a strawberry in my sundae, whatever flavor that is. But in the US, they are made from red dye number 40, the color. So I'm absolutely not endorsing McDonald's at all. On the contrary, please don't go to these places often or at all. But these are the things that real people are reaching for every single day here in the US and in Canada, and they bring their children with them. So the difference is quite substantial when you go and eat a McFlurry with no dyes and a McFlurry full of dyes. The behavioral differences in those kids, Europe versus US, are significant, and we have to be aware of these things. Same thing with the Fanta orange soda. In Europe and in the UK, they are made with actual pumpkin and carrot extract. In the US, we decide that these flavors shouldn't come from real fruits, and we add red 40 dye and yellow 6 dyes. Again, it makes no sense, but this is what we have to deal with. And that's why we're presenting this data to you, so that you learn how to turn the can around and see what is it in my food, right? So you can
this is a very powerful image here. Just look at this. Whenever we think, oh, it's a cheat day, I'm letting my child eat this. Just think about that. This is what you're doing to their brain. This is what you're doing to them on a cellular level. So I hope this image really speaks to you.
Indeed. Okay, so this one right here, I want to make a point with this slide. So just to give you some perspective, this meal that you see is something that is actually served at a kids museum in the US. And you would think actually that you go to a kids museum, they have some sort of healthy foods because they're growing, individuals, they need nutrients to really develop into healthy human beings, but they're getting a meal like this. And so that you get a perspective, it only takes 40 to 60 milligrams of food dyes to cause these tantrum or meltdowns issues that we see continuously after kids eating a meal with these dyes. And that meal that they're serving at the museum has more than 100 milligrams. So you can imagine the amount of tantrums and meltdowns that kids are going through in that museum. But multiply this by 3. What are the other meals that kids are having after this one? What about that yogurt that they had for a snack with a red dye? What about that, candy that the parents allowed? Okay, sure, you behaved well, have a candy. We have to think about this, and the things add up really fast.
So when we look at this image, so we have to start training ourselves to look for all of these food toxins, right? I look at the mac and cheese, I'm seeing the phthalates, I see the Skittles, I see the BPAs, I see the artificial dyes, the sugars, the GMOs, the glyphosate. There's so many levels that we need to start retraining ourselves. And when we have kids, we think whenever they're going through tantrums, this is normal. We start normalizing their behavior, but we need to not make this normal. We need to start looking at what they're eating, what they're putting into their bodies on a cellular level.
Exactly. What is it going to go in their cells? That's really what we have to think about. It's not simply like, yes, it's a red candy. No, it's actually candy with potential synthetic dyes that can cause behavioral problems in my kids and other things that we need to study furthermore. Okay, so let's talk about some other places that we're finding these problematic dyes. So to your surprise, kids' cough syrups and Claritin and many vitamins like gummy vitamins that we're giving to our kids, they have all of these dyes. So now you're reaching for a medication or for a vitamin source that you think you're doing such a great thing to help your kid at the moment, and you're bringing in more damage than what you think. Again, these are also sources that we have to start looking at. Next, you can go into the next slide. Oh, this one is the one that I love because we have been kind of brainwashed to think that Gatorade is the ultimate sports drink, right? Is the drink that after that soccer game that your kid had, everyone's going to have a Gatorade and replenish their electrolytes, when this can be further from the truth. When you look at the Gatorade, what you see in the nutrition label is all sorts of dyes depending on the color that you choose, but it also comes with so many different types of sugars that doesn't say the word sugar, it says something else to distract you from it, and many other things are not really the best thing for your kids. So a solution would be, you can go to the next slide, coconut water. So coconut water is a great drink. It's super replenishing, has a lot of electrolytes, is not fattening, has no dyes, no artificial colorings, and it's going to, replenish those electrolytes. And Tas can talk about the cocoa hydrate, which is a great alternative from Purium as well.
Okay, so let's talk about this coconut water. Okay, this is my ultimate favorite coconut water, Harmless Harvest. But listen to this, guys. I just found out last night that Harmless Harvest was sold to Danone. Okay, the yogurt Danone. So I don't know if it's going to be good anymore. I don't think it will be. So I'm going to have to kiss this goodbye and look to my cocoa hydrate. The cocoa hydrate paired with a canned beet this is a delicious electrolyte and full of all the vitamins and minerals that we need post-workout, that we need, our body needs to survive. My daughter, after basketball and volleyball practice, she pours her cocoa hydrate and canned beet this, and she has all of the nutrients that her body needs.
Exactly. And I'm sure that she is making waves in her group and more people are going to be interested in what she's having. Sooner than later, like the kids are talking about this to their parents and the shift starts happening in the other households as well. So just your kid, like one person can change the way a community actually responds to something. So another one that I want to present, just because this is like a product that I constantly see buying see people buying on the grocery stores, thinking that is totally harmless, especially because it says blueberries in the front. So you're buying this and you're like, I'm gonna make blueberry muffins for my kids. They're gonna give it, to other friends in school. Maybe they can go to their events with it. And you think you're adding, blueberries in their muffins because it says blueberry. But if you look closely in the package right there, it actually says made with artificial blueberries. And what is that? That is actually blue dye number 1, blue dye number 2, and also has trans fats, so hydrogenated oils, which is, by the way, is completely illegal to add in foods now. So yeah, this is something that we see moms and other parents or people in young people's community all the time to make muffins, just something really quickly that you can add. But indeed, like, you have to start reading the label because there's no blueberries in it and there's just some dye. So the great alternative would be homemade muffins with real organic blueberries. Just buy the blueberries and add them to your muffins that you can make homemade. And like Taz was saying,
I love adding frozen blueberries in this case, right? So you buy them organic frozen. You could buy the frozen wild blueberries as well, and you just toss them in there. Make your life simpler and healthy without any artificial food dyes.
Yes. And one last thing about those frozen fruits facts is, for anyone who can't find like organic fresh fruits, just go to your grocery store and buy them frozen, because frozen, they're potentially even healthier for you because they don't have to, stay in the supermarket for long. So they're picked ripe. So the acidity that could come from an unripe fruit that no longer is usually in the frozen fruits. So it's actually a great tip for everyone. All right, let's go into natural flavors. The one word that has been, overused in the health community: natural this, natural that, when actually the laws you don't have to put anything natural in it to call it natural. You have to have one ingredient in your compilation of whatever, how many ingredients you want to add to call it natural. And I mean, that's honestly mind-blowing. But natural flavors are made in a lab, most of them. There will be some exceptions. Taz is going to talk about that. But if you see natural flavor, a lot of them are actually coming from MSG. And we know that that's a neurotoxin that destroys our brain cells. So imagine what that's doing to a young adult who's still growing, needs to have their brain development, and they're destroying their brain cells. And if you also see words that says natural fruit flavor, it's not going to be fruit extract. It's going to be a flavor that is made in a lab from a chemical, again, synthesized in the lab. So you have to be careful with the words natural smoke flavor, natural peppermint flavor, natural vanilla flavor. That's a big one. It's literally everywhere in all cakes and, stuff like that. So you want to look for real flavors. So these natural flavors are also found a lot in all products in health food stores that theoretically are for your health. But I mean, we know that now that only 15% of what's being sold in a health store is actually healthy for you. But Taz, do you want to talk about the natural flavors in Purium?
Yeah, so the natural flavors you see in Purium, this is actually food, okay? So this is the only one that I trust and I don't worry about, because I know this is coming from the right source of real food.
Perfect. Okay, so we have just a couple examples to show you how easy it is to, first of all, read the label and then go for the better option. So we have Cheerios, and we know from the last talk that they did on glyphosate, Cheerios are actually one of the foods that has the highest amount of glyphosate in it. So not only do you have to worry about that, now you have something that has marketing to actually make you buy because it has some fruit in it. If we look right here, we see Very Berry Cheerios made with real fruit. But once you turn this package around, all you see is artificial flavors and artificial dyes. So the real fruit right there is going to be a small, tiny percentage, and all you get will be really harmful things. So Taz, what is the safe alternative here?
So I love using Foragers. Foragers Organic. This is a healthy alternative to Cheerios. You get the same shape. It's delicious and nutritious. And this is actually made from cassava, which is so good for you. You're getting your fiber, your protein, no artificial ingredients, and your kids won't even know the difference. No neurotoxins.
Yes, exactly. No neurotoxins. Perfect. So then we have mayonnaise. And why I'm adding this here, because I see it in the fridge of every single household I go to. It's like a staple. And we are actually thinking it's like a combination of 3 flavors, right? But when you turn around that Hellman's mayo that everyone has, you see artificial flavors, and you have other things like soybean oil, which for the most part, it's actually non-organic. And we know that the crops of the United States for soy is GMO. And I'm not going to go into it. They probably will at another Fierce Friday, but pediatricians who work with kids who completely remove GMOs from their diet, they see such a significant difference in their gut health and in their behavioral issues. So again, looking for non-GMO stuff, it's very important, but here as well to stop buying mayo and go for another option like a creamy avocado sauce that you can make in your house. Take the avocado, mash it with some lemon juice, add some smoked paprika, some cayenne pepper. I mean, use the flavors that you like and use that in your salad, for example, or in your sandwich, which is usually the most frequent option. All
I
right,
love
next.
this alternative, and
Yes.
avocados are so good for you. And the more we expose our kids to these flavors and ourselves, our taste buds start changing as well.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so there are many others. And Tas actually can take over for this one for the alternative because she has a really good recipe. But for example, right here, sparkling water, another very common item in everyone's houses. This one says made with strawberries, but there's no strawberries in it. It's actually just a flavor, natural flavor that was synthesized in the lab. So what you can do is buy a Perrier and add either some real fruit squeezed that is organic into it, or go ahead, Tas.
I love adding apothecary to my Perrier. So it becomes, a nice, delicious, refreshing drink. The apothecary is not something you only can take in the nighttime. You could take it at any time. So I like adding it. Maybe you can add a little bit of that orange as well. Add some ice, put in a wine glass. You have a delicious, nutritious drink.
Amazing. Okay, last one. And why I want to show this is because, again, another thing that everyone buys at the supermarket. So you look at these two breads, right? On the left, you have a white bread. And on the right, you have 100% whole wheat. Usually, with our common sense, we're able to immediately think, okay, this probably 100% whole wheat is much better for me. And we pick that one and we go home with a happier choice that we didn't buy that cheap white bread that we used to. But how long do you think this 100% whole wheat bread should last in your cupboard, Tas? How long do you think it should last?
A week at most.
Okay. Yeah, usually it will last between a week, a couple of days, depending on what bread you're buying. But now you buy that bread and you take it home, you put it in your cupboard, and you forget that you bought that 100% whole wheat bread. And 9 months later, you open that cupboard and you look at the bread and you see absolutely no mold in it. It's fresh as you bought it from the store, is as fluffy as you bought it. And you're like, what? Wait a minute. How is it possible that this bread is still exactly the same? So is it a super bread? Of course it's not. What it has in it, it's something called calcium propionate, and that's a mold inhibitor. And you see that in almost all bread labels. So the thing that I want you to take from this is every time you pick up a bread from now on, turn it around. And if you see the word calcium propionate, put it back. And why? Because this has been identified as to create or potentiate ADHD problems in rats. And even though we're not rats, it is now definitely identified as a driver for abnormal behavior related to those types of problems, ADHD and the autism spectrum.
You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember that experiment that they did with the McDonald's burger and they put it in like a time capsule? Then
Yes.
they re-looked at it 10 years later and it looked exactly the same?
Yes. That's even, McDonald's is a whole nother level of preservation, but this is a good example because think about it. You're eating, 2 slices of bread for breakfast, then you make a sandwich for lunch, then you do something else with it for dinner. You're having this bread maybe like 6 times a day with these particular mold inhibitors that it's going to affect your kid and its behavior, and suddenly you don't know why he can't pay attention at school. Well, it's something like this that could actually lead to these problems. So the last thing that we want to talk about is BHA and BHT. And these again, oh sorry, the preservatives. Sorry, not the preservatives, the safe alternative. I personally like the brand called Food for Life. We know all of these Ezekiel breads by now, like they're actually become really famous in the health community because again, they're sprouted, there's no preservatives, there's no colorings. They have different types of grains. If you're intolerant to gluten, if you're intolerant to, let's say, quinoa or something else, they have all sorts of grains that you can buy from. And again, they're sprouted, so easier for digestion. But Tas is another option, I think.
I love 1 Degree Organics. I love this whole brand. And they came out with a bread line that is delicious. And this is their lentil bread. I would highly recommend to check this out.
Perfect. So I was saying the last thing that we want to talk about, still in the same preservative, field, is BHA and BHT, and these are preservatives that they are putting in the wrapper of the cereal boxes. Again, this goes beyond what's inside your cereal. We have to look at what are they using to wrap those foods, even if you're buying organic cereals. But we're going into that. And again, these are banned in Europe, they're banned in the UK and Japan. So either on the other side of the planet, they know something we don't know, or we already know this, but we keep avoiding the problems that they come with because this is a very inexpensive way to wrap and have their food put out in the supermarkets. So I think go ahead.
I think this is really important to note, okay? When we think organic, we are just thinking it's the food. It's going beyond that. When something is labeled organic, it's the packaging itself.
Exactly. So that's a good point. I wanted to mention that too. So if you want to look for a packaging that doesn't contain BHA, BHT, other artificial additives and preservatives, you have to look for all of the safe certified organic stamps that prove that actually that food is organic. So like all of the stamps that you could want in a box, you want to see them in a cereal box as well. So that's a way to be at least reassured that you're not bringing that into your household.
So organic is beyond the food, it's the packaging.
Absolutely.
So why should we care about this, right? We're talking about all of these things that happens to ourselves and our kids, but this affects our kids even greater, right? They absorb this even greater amount. Do you want to start touching on it?
Sure. So like you said, why should we care about it? Why should we care now? Why should we care when we're pregnant? Why should we care when our kids are young? Why should we care forever? It's because if we don't, the consequences are actually terrifying. And this is just a health snapshot of kids under 18. Remember, everything I'm about to say is for kids under 18 years old. So 1 in 45 have been diagnosed with autism. This was according to a 2014 government study. So imagine how much higher the numbers are now. 1 in 10 have been diagnosed with ADHD. 1 in 10 have asthma, 1 in 9 have seriously contemplated suicide, 1 in 8 have felt depression, 1 in 6 have had developmental issues, 1 in 3 are obese or overweight, which is so important. That's such a small number. And we know that obesity is the driver for inflammation, the reason why we get so sick from viruses, etc. 40% of them have food allergies. And this is according to a 2016 report. And I think this is the most shocking one. Over the past 10 years, things like colitis have tripled. And these are chronic diseases, by the way, things that we used to only see in people like 60 or above, and we're seeing it at 18 and under. So things like colitis have tripled. Things like diabetes have quadrupled. Crohn's disease, and Tas, you can be like a testimony for this. Crohn's disease is now seen in up to 79 of kids. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Like I've experienced this myself. I had Crohn's, my son as well. It affects them faster than it affected us. And our kids are getting these younger and younger. And it all comes back to what we are putting in their mouth and what we are putting in the womb. It starts with what we're eating when we're pregnant with them.
Exactly. And the last one that I wanted to mention, that which is actually the number 2 killer when it comes to young adults, is cancer, particularly leukemia and brain tumors, which I am very convinced that mostly is coming from other sorts of toxins, like the amount of radiation they are getting and being bombarded with from the moment they are conceived. We see moms with their cell phones relaxing on top of the pregnant belly. We forget there's a human being right there being developed, still forming and getting so much radiation. So paying attention as well to how much you let your kids have devices. If you're pregnant, don't put your phone on top of your pregnant belly. All of these things, something that's really important to think about.
Okay, so why should we care? After this amazing presentation, I have complete awareness of everything that's happening in our food, right? You all, and making small lifestyle shifts can make a significant change to yourself and your family. And we need to start becoming label readers. Read your labels. Don't just look at the packaging. Don't just look at the labels on the front. Turn it over and look for details. So we are going to open up the call for some questions. So I'm going to go back and, okay. Going to go back, here I am. Okay, stop share. Okay, do you guys see me? Okay, we're back. Okay, so we are going to open this up for questioning.
If anyone has a question, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So you just go into participants where your name is and raise your hand there. Also the reactions, if you go into the reaction section. Okay, Philip Ferguson. Let me see. How do I unmute you, Philip? Ask to unmute. There we go.
Hi, how's it going?
Great.
Y'all do amazing. I can't say enough, so I'll just start with my question. How's the Cheerio thing going? I think the last I looked, it was like 95%. That was basically my question.
Yes, so avoid Cheerios, okay? Because Cheerios has the highest parts per billion of glyphosate. So it's going great. We have to keep sharing the petition to get it out of our food system. And yes, don't support them. Vote with your dollars.
Yeah, we're 95% complete, Philip. So we need another 5%. We're going to keep moving on to new petitions. We've just been discussing it in the council. If you guys have ideas, share it. We would love to hear what you're passionately activist against in our food system. We can make whatever happen.
I want to mention also that, you know, a lot of the things I was talking about, they're all hormonal disruptors, right? So when these things, since we're a baby, it carries on to adulthood. So it's a lifetime, okay? So when we become adults and it's difficult for us to conceive, we're like, what happened? It starts off when we're little. So that's why at phthalates especially, this has a huge gut disruptor as well. So once we start the 30-day ultimate transformation, this helps regenerate your body. Oh, I see.
Let me add something about phthalates that I wanted to say in that call. There has been really great studies just actually correlating that the exposure of phthalates that a mom is exposed to during pregnancy, it's actually highly correlated to the function and size of the male reproductive system. So we see that being affected as soon as the baby starts forming in the mom's during the mom's pregnancy. So that's very, very, very relevant to think about. So if you're a big cheese eater, think about that. It's one of the highest food sources for phthalates. Start shifting that into nut-based cheeses, for example, is totally worth it. You don't want those developmental problems coming into your little kid. You don't want to, have to, see that and even face something like that in the future. So for me, it's super like leave cheese behind, go for something else. Even avocado can replace cheese sometimes. Use some nutritional yeast to give some cheesy flavor.
So if you're having problems conceiving, you can have yourself and your spouse do the cleanse with you, and you'll have the greatest success. Okay, who else? Mark?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Hi, Taz. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, guys. So this is my biggest why, and she's 7 years old, and you guys are talking about some fantastic, amazing things. Like, oh my God. However, can we get some type of like book or some type of information on what type of foods to get? Because it's so confusing in the misled world that we're living in. I don't know what to buy anymore.
Okay, so we will be launching a platform like on my Instagram, the Million Mom Movement, of alternative, right? Good, better, best. So it'll be easy for you to just go through that and to have healthy alternatives. So it's
Okay,
in the works.
thank you.
Also, a great tip I give to anyone, because I know it can be extremely confusing. If you can't read the ingredients on the packaging and you don't know what they do, just put it back. If you can't find a reason to why they are there, put it back until you do. And I guarantee you that that will make you only buy, fruits, vegetables, maybe some nut-based cheeses. They only have like cashews and some spices. I guarantee you'll stop buying things that you don't know, and that will stop being overwhelming.
Anna?
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much, everyone. Your information is just, I mean, it has no price, and I can't wait to share this with other moms. So one of my questions, how do we lessen radiation? What do you guys recommend for that? That's my first one. My second one is, what is a good alternative to yogurts, like kids yogurts? It's just such a go-to as parents. I'm about to go into Trader Joe's. It's something I normally buy. Yeah, so those are my two questions.
Okay, so when it comes to yogurt, I would look for an organic yogurt. I love the Forager brand, okay? And look for something that's not sweetened, okay? So I like using an unsweetened version, and then you can sweeten it at home. You can get those frozen berries and heat it up. Maybe add some chia seeds to that, a date, and then you can sweeten it on your own. So that's a great alternative.
Okay. And then the radiation, I mean, phones, all that.
Well,
I can give some suggestions.
Go ahead.
If anyone is ready to invest in a household radiation like EMF protection, 5G protection, there's a brand called Somavedic. And it's really something, it's just a device that you put like whatever you want in your house, and it really calms it down. And once you had it for like a week or two, you almost feel like your body stops vibrating because there's so much radiation around you. So that's more of a household thing. It's much more expensive. But if you want like an individual protection, there's little like almost like necklaces that you can buy and you can use here, and that highly reduces the radiation that you get from really everywhere. Things like shungite or Shangi, I don't know how to say that in English actually. Shangit. I'll write it in here in the comments. Yeah, like that. That's a bracelet or a necklace. It does actually work, and the way that you can see that it works is just buy one of those really cheap Amazon like radiation detectors. Put it on top of your phone with and without, and you see how much it stops transmitting.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, Adina.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, hi. So I had a question before when we were talking about blueberries and buying organic blueberries, but they come in a bag. And don't those plastic bags have phthalate? And then there was something mentioned afterwards about how organic food is packaged in safe plastic. I didn't even know about that. Can you clarify those two things?
Okay, so the packaging for the cereals, right?
Oh.
So like the boxes.
Okay. Okay.
So when it says organic, it's not just organic itself. So what I was talking about is the packaging like Annie's Organic. You know when they have the dairy in a powdered form? It's still that mac and cheese. That's not good.
Okay.
But we think it's organic, so we think it's safe. So that's not good because it's the same powdered cheese.
Okay. Okay. And then with plastic, can that be avoided at all, phthalate, or as long as it's plastic, we know that there's phthalate?
I mean, we don't have regulations, right? So, I mean, there's going to be a certain amount of phthalates, but we can just lower our exposure. That's all we can do right now.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Just don't use your teeth to rip that open.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Tamara. Tamara?
Hi, thank you. I wanted to ask about, we had somebody had mentioned, I guess Carmela, probably it was you, had mentioned that Dave had done some information on the natural flavors that we have. And that I think that there might have been a blog post you said that was attached to that, or is there a link or somewhere where we can access that information?
Absolutely.
Learn quickly, but I didn't see it.
Okay, so we have all that information in our knowledge base.
And okay, and knowledge.
Okay, so it's everything in Purium is all natural foods from food base for food sources, but Dave had to label it that way, natural sources, but just know that for future reference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have time for one more? No.
One more.
Ladies? Okay. Samantha. Okay.
I'm just going to jump in here really quickly, ladies. This has been tremendous. Thank you so much. I want to alert you all to previous Sad to Rad presentations that we've done on our Million Mom Movement YouTube channel. You are going to love what Jody and Taz have done. So please go back weeks, go back months. I'm very proud of what we've created for the last year and a half.
Hey, Samantha.
Hey.
Want to make it quick? Hi.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the iShop at all the different products that I want to obtain because I'm new. And I was just wondering, because so many didn't have the certified organic column checked. And so I guess I was just wondering, what's that about?
There's some things that you couldn't get certified.
Okay, like they just don't, it's not an option and it's just okay.
Yeah, but it will be the highest quality.
Okay. Okay, because I've had people when I'm like, it's all organic, they're like, it's not all organic. I'm like, you know.
But some things become impossible to label, right?
Okay.
Some things you can't get labeling for it. So that's all I say.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll pass it back to you, Carmela.
Wow, amazing information, guys. Thank you so, so much. And as well to your guest, Dr. Maria Tedim. They've got a new channel. So guys, plug in and also plug into, like Stephanie had mentioned, to our YouTube channel where you could find the Sad to Rad series connected to this series of the Toxin That Came to Dinner. So I'm going to close out saying, please join us next Friday. We go week to week by business and lifestyle, business, lifestyle. So next week is our business focused Fierce Friday, where we need to make an impact on the greater community, correct? So this information also translates to how we can empower new people to join our movement through our business portal. And so please also share our scholarships, right, to those who need it. We award 4 a month, and we will see you all next week. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.